Data sets are highly adjusted and infilled. And an adjustment, by definition, is a small alteration or movement made to achieve a desired fit, appearance, or result. I think that applies to what we've seen in climate science. The temperature reported years ago just isn't the same as what it is reported today. This is a flipbook chart showing U.S. temperature, and notice the two circled green peaks there. This is from Tony Heller. And you can see that the peaks have changed. And this is the same data set from 2 different years. How then can we determine what the real temperature trend has been if the data keeps changing from under us? And then there's another problem. A lot of the surface temperature record is infilled. Now, there are thousands of weather stations around the United States. These weather stations are run by a lot of volunteers. Some are just people that are doing it in their own backyards as part of the Cooperative Observer Network. Some are at police stations, fire stations, and so forth. But the thing is that a lot of these have disappeared. A lot of them have stopped reporting. And what's been happening is that NOAA has been increasing the infill, the interpolation between stations that have dropped out. And according to Tony Heller's analysis, there's now almost 40% of an infill going on. I think that estimate might be a little bit high, but the fact is that there is some infill going on in the surface temperature record. So instead of dropping these stations, they tried to interpolate the data as if the station was there. It seems to me to be kind of a manufactured result. So the problem stems not just from adjusted and missing closed station data, but from the insistence of NOAA and CDC on using obviously bad data, such as stations like the following. This is from my surface stations project. This is the University of Arizona at Tucson. This is their weather station in that little cage down there. It's in the middle of a parking lot. And the reason it ended up there was because the university kept growing and growing. It used to be in a grass field away from the campus, but the campus kept growing and it had a limited land grant. And they kept having to move the weather station. And finally, they put it right out in front of the Atmospheric Sciences Department. Now, when we discovered this and we reported on it, the station closed within about 6 months. NOAA closed it because obviously it was reporting the temperature of a parking lot rather than representative of the area. Here's another station not too far away in Carefree, Arizona. Now they have the NOAA official MMTS temperature sensor. This is run by a volunteer observer. But you can see it's measuring the temperature basically of a large asphalt parking lot. Now, we discovered this station because of a tool that used to be on a site called HamWeather, and they would plot the daily highs and lows. And this one stood out in the middle. Look at that one little red dot in the middle of a sea of blue and purples and some oranges there. And we wondered why that one set a record and none of the others. Well, when we investigated, we found out it was measuring the temperature of a parking lot, and that's why. And in our 2012 early release of our paper, we found this to be true with compliant and non-compliant stations. The 2 stations that I showed you pictures of are not compliant by NOAA's own siting rules. But when we look at the raw Class 1 and 2 compliant stations, they have a trend of 0.182. The ones that are non-compliant have a trend essentially almost double that. And the NOAA adjusted data is also almost essentially double that. My premise is, why are we keeping all of these bad stations in the record? Let's just look for the best stations and use those as the metric to measure temperature change. And if it was getting warmer, we would expect to see increases in the number of record highs. We have not. This is state record highs by decade. And as you can see, recent times haven't set any new state record highs. In fact, most of them were set back in the Dust Bowl area. And the number of 90-plus degree readings at all U.S. historical climate network stations has been going down. The Climate Reference Network, the U.S. Climate Reference Network, was a pristine, state-of-the-art, technologically advanced network of about 150 stations set up around the United States, away from human civilization, to make an accurate assessment of climate change. We don't see this listed in the reports that NOAA puts out on a monthly basis about their records and so forth. But I wanted to show you this plot from NOAA. This is from their website. And NOAA provides the same data in a tabular form, which I plotted again this morning. For the United States, we not just have a pause, but a slight cooling. And so it's at least in complete conflict with what NOAA has been saying last week. Yes, the U.S. is not the world, but it has the best observing network in the world, so this should be some cause for concern.
Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe to our channel and consider donating to the Heartland Institute to support more vibrant free markets, greater individual liberty, and more videos like this one.